Oh. I got no water. That's all right. I don't do my customary, drink and then say my spiel. It is what it is. Hey, y'all, welcome to Water Break with the Water Boy and comedian John Branyan.
Who still hasn't heard the theme music for this show.
We need to, our engineering.
How many weeks? Yeah.
Well,
how many weeks have I been on this show and I don't even know what the theme music sounds like?
It's really good theme music. And if you would actually re-listen to our shows to learn and grow as a commentator and as a comedian next door, I mean, you would know what the music was because you re-listened to it.
So the way to flip your technical difficulties back onto me.
I did do that. Hey, you guys, we are, as you know, we're going to be doing a West Coast tour. We're going to be in a couple cities coming up March, April, and May. And we're going to be in Fort Worth March 16th, so make sure you check that out. Ticket sales will be basically going happening a month before each event. So February 15th, ticket sales will be happening. Club members get first access to sell at these venues. I think these venues will be selling out, so club members get first access. So if you're not a club member, you'll get first dibs into buying tickets. We'll be in Rapid City, April 7th. And actually, comedian John Branyan will be there with us, opening up our live show with a skit, John?
Yeah, it'll be a skit of some sort.
Some sort of corny church skit.
Some hacky cornball skit involving farm animals and overalls, I'm sure.
That's great.
Slang.
Yeah, this gonna be well worth the ticket purchase alone, right there.
Yes, and the club members get it first. So if you stall, if you wait around and you don't get a ticket,
it's on you.
Gabe will figure out some way to blame me for that.
That's right.
That'll be my fault.
All right, and then we'll be in Phoenix in May, middle of May. We haven't finalized the date there, but if Lord willing, we'll be in Phoenix. We're excited about it. It should all be coming together. Secondly, you guys have heard me talk about this before, but we've kind of have been collecting business contacts to start some sort of Fight, Laugh, Feast business network. We don't know how all this is going to shake out. We've been thinking about it, and since we've started Crosspolitic, and I think this kind of business network is becoming more relevant than when we first thought in 2016. As Christians, we need to form business communities, business networks, sort of a Christian economy. We have made you aware that our friends at Babylon Bee have been canceled by MailChimp. Our friends at Gab have been canceled by, I think, 6 banks in the last year or so. We, of course, have no problem doing business with unbelievers. That's not the problem. But the time has come that we need to be intentional with working with each other. I want to find a Christian-owned bank. I really do. A Christian server farm, a Christian-owned hospital, even more than ever, and so forth. So we want to create a business directory, which will probably go in our club portal, something along those lines. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to be delivered in the end, but go and sign up your business to flfnetwork.com/business. flfnetwork.com/business. We have a couple hundred businesses that have already signed up and can't wait to reach 5,000, 10,000 businesses and so forth. So go to flfnetwork.com/business. Cannonball or belly flop, you decide. Last night, our midweek fix, we were discussing Kid Rock and the Canadian trucker convoy, and there was a lot more I think that need to be said about it all. Outside of the work of the Holy Spirit, cold wars, and wars for that matter, are inevitable. And I think we are in a cold war, and when this happens, we end up joining alliances with people that we never would have thought would have ended up on our team in a million years. Like I said last night, how the heck did Joe Rogan end up on my team? Or Dave Chappelle? Kid Rock? Are you? But also somehow Judas ended up on the apostles' team. We live in a messy world, so we should not have a problem with things actually being messy. What we should be concerned about is being faithful in the messiness. As Christians, we really need to know our Bibles and think like we are saturated in our Bible. When the lines are drawn, and they are in the process of being drawn, we will end up with all sorts of weirdos, aunts and uncles, and red pill newbies in our camp. Christians need to be out in front of this, thinking ahead, getting prepared for how to proceed in wisdom with these new lines and new relationships. It's happening. It's coming. It already is happening. Again, don't worry about the messiness that's a given. Be faithful to God and his word and take action. That's where you're at. Now, somehow in the last couple of years, Dave Rubin, Candace Owens, Donald Trump, Tom McDonald all ended up in my camp and I guess on my team. Now, of course, there's differences between co-belligerents, those who are conservatives but are hard to trust for various reasons, and genuine unified conservative Christian teammates. But in this world, we're going to have a lot of everyone pouring into our camp. It's going to happen. And we as Christians need to be setting the tone, the culture of these new lines, and direction of how we should engage, what battles we should fight, and how and when we fight alongside the co-belligerents and our various allies and so forth. And I'm not sure if the church is thinking through that and ready for this. But here's where conservatives run into problems when it comes to aligning and fighting. We don't know how to read the story well. We don't know how to assess the characters. Which character is who? Who's Judas? Who's, King David? Who's, his cousin? Who's Solomon and all this? Who's Jesus? Who's, Peter and all this? The characters that are surrounding us, we need to think through. And because of this, we tend to fall into two ditches. Either we can be very naive, okay, and not, be too trusting or something along those lines. Secondly, we can easily be cool-shammed, meaning we want to be liked and accepted, so we capitulate, another word for that is cowards. And a good example of this would be, probably your previous pastor. Think about Sean Hannity. He interviewed Bruce Jenner when Bruce Jenner was running for governor, and at no point did Sean Hannity call Bruce out on his delusional mental disorder. Instead, Sean took Bruce seriously and participated in his delusion. Conservatives like Sean are cowards who don't know how to stand up to mobs, and even though Bruce Jenner might be some sort of co-belligerent when it comes to low taxes or small government, Sean buckled to the LGBT plus minus crowd. Imagine if Sean insisted on using male pronouns when referring to Bruce Jenner in that interview. Sean would have lost his job at Fox. Fox would have parted ways with Sean. And that's where conservatives are losing. And so this got me thinking kind of these lines, John. We need to read our Bibles, and one of the things that we need to learn how to think in is in biblical categories, not worldly categories. And so we need to know, okay, all right, I have no problem with Bruce Jenner voting for a president I might vote for.
Right.
He's some sort of co-belligerent in that vote. I do have every problem with not confronting Bruce Jenner on his delusions on my show or on Sean's show.
Right.
And let's say I would have a problem with, let's say, Bruce Jenner leading the charge on, small government voting.
Right.
So some characters I have no problem, let's say, joining me in a vote, or but I would have a problem, let's say, with them leading the process. And so we need to sort through this. And then secondly, in all this, I was thinking in biblical categories like church, family, civil government, the three spheres that God has given us, the three authorities that God has given us, really helps, I think, sort through, okay, how do I view Sean Hannity in all this? What kind of character is he in the story? Well, at some level, he's some sort of Peter. He's not denying Jesus, but he's weak. He's weak, principal lead in all this.
Right. You don't see him as an enemy.
Don't see him as an enemy. But
Right.
this is where being accountable to a church, let's say, would be very helpful. The church could rebuke Sean, or there's real accountability in these various communities, church, family, civil government, and that really helps when these Cold War lines get drawn, and as I said, they're still being drawn. I think that will help us kind of sort through how we view each character and how we partner with them or lock arms and so forth. What are your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. It's funny because I was having similar thoughts, and you and I haven't even talked about this, but this last week I was scrolling and I saw on Fox that they had posted a quote from Bruce Jenner, who goes by Caitlyn now, and it was a commentary about trans women competing in female sports. For the University of Pennsylvania has got that male swimmer on the women's team, and it's causing a whole lot of problems. So Jenner comes out and says something along the lines of, quote, was, she was born a biological boy. She has a larger cardiovascular system. She has more lung capacity. She has larger hands. She can swim faster. And a lot of the Fox people.
Wow.
Well, a lot of the Fox people were like, yes, Caitlyn is on our team. Caitlyn is saying the things, she's saying all the right things. And I commented, I said, well, Caitlyn Jenner shouldn't be commenting on this. This is not the right person to be commenting on this.
That's right.
Because it's incongruent. As soon as it comes out of his mouth, it causes a whole bunch of confusion.
Right.
And I got lit up. I got lit up by the people who were saying exactly the same sort of things that you were describing, where they're like, this is an ally. Why are you picking a fight with a potential ally?
Right.
This is the problem with conservatives, is we can't band together.
Right.
And I think that there needs to be a distinction for Christian people between our Christianity and our politics. Mm-hmm. It's not enough to be a conservative. It's not enough.
Right.
And so when your conservatism goes askew and falls away from God's teaching, that's when you need to go, okay, I have to chuck the conservatism. Because what struck me, and this was the conversation that I had with some people at my church on Sunday, is that Fox putting that quote out the way they did has completely jumped over the thing that everybody was arguing about a little over a year ago, and that is the proper use of pronouns.
Right.
Are we going to, we were fighting about whether you can refer to he as she or not.
Yep.
And everybody on the conservative side was like, no, it's not okay.
Yep.
You can't force me to use your pronouns. Well, Fox is completely,
they've just
abandoned that.
Yep.
Yeah. They've changed sides and they don't even know it. So all these conservative people are now using the language of the left because they're compromising.
That's right.
Well, we've got an ally here, so we're gonna call Bruce Jenner she and her because it's an ally. And it's like, you're fools.
One of our goals with the network is one of my prayers is I'm praying that Crosspolitic can take over Fox and conservative media. And in some sense, Fox is kind of making it easy for us in the long run when they do that kind of stuff. When they abandon their conservative values, when they abandon, biblical truths, which is what they're doing. And they've done that for a while, but they're really doing it when it comes to the transgender stuff. They're being moved all around in all this. And now they're basically happy to sign off on the transgender nomenclature of him and her and switching all that around. And they're gonna, old media is like Yellow Cab and new media is like us, is like Uber, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna crush them. That's my prayer. And so thank you, Fox. Appreciate that.
Well, what struck me about it was just the insanity of the quote. I mean, you've got a guy who identifies as a woman, basically saying what? He's saying that this guy on the women's swim team shouldn't be on the women's swim team. It's so convoluted and mixed up.
As he's describing a male swimmer and talking about the bigger lungs and the bigger physicality and the bigger muscle mass and all this stuff. And,
I mean, the hypocrisy and the.
Is there a video clip of that? Is there a video clip of that, or is it just a?
It's just a meme that I saw.
Okay.
There's probably a video somewhere.
Yeah, because that'd be fun. That could be news that John Brandy could trust, that could go on that segment.
I would trust that. Well, the guy who was named the highest winning Jeopardy contestant, the highest female Jeopardy contestant. You heard about that guy?
No.
I guess he lost last night or whatever. But what I thought would be funny would be, I made a meme just yesterday, and it was a Jeopardy question, and it was or the answer was this type of person has been described, the gender, how do I say it? The gender chromosomes in this type of person are described as XX.
Yep.
And so the question would be, what is a woman? And
yep.
And then I just had that guy trying to answer that question. He just said, "What is ... And then it like occurred to him, oh, I can't really answer this question and be true to who I am. So it creates a. But this is the insanity that we're living in now. This is what's coming from the news media and from game shows and from Hollywood and the people, well-intentioned people who identify as Christians are being led astray by this.
Yeah.
They're being pulled away from their convictions and they don't even know it.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, Christians are either being naive or they're being cowards in all this. Conservative Christians are either being, naive or cowards. And that's, the Canadian trucker convoy, we said this last night, if it doesn't end in reformation and revival and people repenting of their sins and, people becoming Christians, then it's kind of all for nothing. And conservatives here in the U.S. right now, they're starting to get excited about 2024. They're getting excited right now about 2022. They can see It's looking like conservatives are going to take back the House, going to take back the Senate, and possibly take back the presidency in the next 4 years. And all that, I'm not sure if I want that in some sense. I don't know
if I do either.
It's like I want repentance. I'm tired of this. Every 8 years, jockeying for position. And then what we accomplish, the greatest thing that Bush Jr., George Bush Jr., he had the House and the Senate when he first got elected. And the greatest thing he got accomplished was No Child Left Behind, which doubled the Department of Education's budget.
Right.
That was like his greatest claim. He did nothing with abortion, nothing, no pro-life gains at all. He had the House and Senate, did not, he lowered taxes and got doubled the Department of Education budget. It's like, that's what conservatives do when we get power and we get in control.
Right.
When Democrats get in control, man, they get Obamacare done. They get LGBT, laws passed. They get their whole agenda passed.
Right.
And
they don't care about the rules. They don't care about
they don't care about the rules. Yeah. But here we are, conservatives, we get the House and the Senate, and if we get the presidency back in 2024, if I always like to run the scenario if I'm president for a day or if I'm governor for a day or whatever. But if I was president and I become president with the House and the Senate, I think the first thing I would actually do is get on my knees out in front of the White House and hold a psalm sing and repent of our nation's sins. Represent our nation.
That would be awesome.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. I think it'd be something that God, that we need to do as a nation. And I think the president is the covenant head of our country, and he needs to lead us in repentance as a nation.
That'd be very Old Testament of you.
You would have to hold up my arms and tell everyone repents. Which would be a long time.
Hezekiah.
Very, very long time. All right. So
tear down all the Asherah poles.
That's right. All right. For news, John Branyan can trust. Okay. I wish you could hear the music, John.
I do too.
It would really help you get into the spirit of this.
There are so many disappointments in my life that I'm just adding this to the pile.
So for those who are new or haven't tuned in this segment before, this is real news. This is no joke. This is not a lie. This is real news. And it's actually news that, given how crazy our culture has been, it's news that John Branyan can trust.
Right, because I don't trust very much news. I'm very cynical.
That's right. He reads CNN like a comic book.
Yes, and so Gabe has been kind enough to try to bring me every week some news that I can trust and I don't have to be skeptical about.
So DC Comics, we heard about this months ago. DC Comics made its latest Superman a bisexual climate warrior. That's what they did.
Yeah, we did. It still makes me laugh, but yes, I heard about that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, where do you think it's on the charts months later?
The new Superman?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Just take a guess.
I don't know. I imagine it's not doing well. I don't think that it's probably selling massive numbers of copies.
Yeah, there's only a very small market that likes to, read comics about tranny Supermans,
Yes.
that want to fight the climate.
That's what we talked about when it first happened. It's like, who's asking for this? Which comic book nerd is asking for this?
Nerd. Singularity. So it's not even in the top 50 comic book chart. Not even. Superman's like one of the historical all-time comic books, and it's not even making it in the top 50 right now. That hurts.
Arguably the first superhero, if you arguably.
Ooh.
And so he's been destroyed.
I think Jesus. I think Jesus is arguably the first.
Well, they didn't make a comic book out of Jesus, is what I'm saying.
They have a Bible, and that's.
It's not a comic book.
What? You don't think the Bible has like comic attributes to it?
It's not a comic. We're not.
You're gonna lose this argument with you real quick, John.
Yeah, because you keep changing the definition of words in the middle of the sentence. So if you, isn't this what we're doing in the culture? I say we. Now, isn't this what they're doing? Is they're taking everything that has a history, everything that has some sort of a mythology, and they're just destroying it.
Yep.
They're doing it with Star Wars. They're doing it with all the Disney characters. They're doing it with the comic books. Yep. Everything. It's just being torn apart.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. I'm looking at some stats here. Superman, when it rebooted in 2018, it hit number 1 in the selling charts quick. That was just in 2018. So now they reboot and they can't even make it. They're 5 issues in. To be fair, they're 5 issues in, and they haven't made the top 50. So I'm glad.
Because it's terrible. It's not. Nobody wants to read stories that are just agendas. That's the reason.
That's right.
The reason Jesus told parables is because storytelling is more effective than just blathering your point of view. And that's all they're doing. That's all DC is doing.
Right.
They're just preaching their stupid sermons. They're not telling stories anymore.
Speaking of stupid agendas, news that John Brandon can trust. Justin Trudeau goes into hiding right before the truckers arrive to occupy Ottawa. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah.
I heard about the convoy, but I didn't know that he hid from them.
Yeah, well, so apparently, this is true. He came into contact with someone who had COVID. And so as part of the, science, he needs to quarantine for 5 days.
Okay.
So that's what he's doing. He's literally, I think his quarantine started yesterday or today or something.
Yeah, convenient.
But the thing is, the truckers, and if you could donate, they have a GoFundMe or a Go, whatever campaign up. And they got some money that's starting to back them. So they'll have some time to, buy some food, buy some gas, hang out in Ottawa for a little bit.
Wait for Justin to get out of quarantine.
Yeah. All right, we got 5 days.
We can wait it out. It'll be worth it. We'll have some eggs and we'll wait for Trudeau to start feeling better. It's amazing the leaders we have in our country now. But here's what he tweeted out about this. He said, "Last night, I learned that I've been exposed to COVID-19. My rapid test results was negative. I'm following the Ottawa health rules and isolating for 5 days. I feel fine and will be working from home. Stay safe, everyone, and please get vaccinated." The test was negative?
Yes.
So why is he quarantining?
That's part of the health rules. That's part of the health rules. Knox can't help himself. He's laughing back there. Yeah, so he tested negative. That's like apparently that's the Ottawa health rules that's there. If you come in close contact with someone, quarantine for 5 days.
Right. Well, if you test negative for COVID, then how do you even know that you came in contact with somebody with COVID?
John, we aren't arguing logic. We're talking about science.
Let's go back and talk about comic books.
Yeah, let's go back to Superman.
Justin Trudeau deserves his own comic book. He needs to be.
He should be training Superman, saving the climate.
Well, he could be certainly a super villain.
Yeah,
he could be somebody that we war against. Do you see that the Super Bowl is requiring masks this year? Are they really? I did not see that. Yeah, if you're going into the Super Bowl, you have to wear a mask. They're giving out masks to all of the attendees in person, and they will be repeatedly enforcing that you wear them. Wow. At the Super Bowl. That is so disappointing. That's not, there's a lot of fans there who aren't going to put up with that. Oh, no. It's not even, it's a religion. I mean, you guys have been saying this for months, but wearing masks is a religious ritual now. There's just no other way to explain it. Wow. News that John Brandon can trust Jim Acosta says that Virginia's new Republican governor is running a Soviet-like police state for banning CRT. Soviet-like? Yeah. And what's funny is, though, the previous governor, Blackface Northam, right? He had, don't forget that, Blackface Northam. He is that what had all these. That was his name, but okay. Yeah, no, his last name's Northam. But he got caught doing blackface back in high school, and pictures went out. Either he was doing blackface or he's wearing the KKK hat. No one knows who's who because you couldn't tell if his face was black under the KKK. One of them had blackface on, the other dude had a hoodie on, and so no one knows who's who. And of course, Northam won't rat himself out. Oh yeah, I was the one in the KKK hat. That was me. It was all in fun. That was me. But what kind of cracks me up about this article is Northam had all these draconian COVID measures in Virginia. Right. That's what, and Glenn Youngkin, whatever, is banning CRT, and that's what Jim Costa says is Soviet-like police state. Well, the only time that CNN has problems with Soviet-like police states is when they think they're detecting it on the Republican or conservative side. That's right. That's right. They love it when it happens in Russia, and they love it when it happens in China. That's right. So they don't have a problem with the police state. They just don't like it when they think it's happening on the other side. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. I've been kind of following Youngkin a little bit in all this, and true to conservative form, when they get elected in a fight like this, and they start doing really dumb moves, thinking like, oh, look at me being courageous. Knox told me earlier, Youngkin started a hotline, opened up a phone hotline for people to call into to report where CRT is being taught in public schools. So if your public school is teaching CRT, you can call the hotline and report it, and then they'll address it. What does that accomplish? Yeah. The problem is like, who's responsible for the public schools? Who's funding the public school? Who's the government is, and then now you're calling to report the government against the government. Right. It's actually, no, Glenn, you can actually do something about the public schools. I mean, like you literally could, and you set up a hotline. Governor. You set up a hotline. Look how this is a bold move. I could legislate public schools, but you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to set up a hotline. I'm going to publish a phone number, and you guys can, all that stuff that you guys were complaining about when you elected me. Here's a new number that you can call to keep complaining. That's right. It's I'm embarrassed for conservatives when they do that kind of stuff. But that goes back to thinking like Christians. And thinking, and thinking through these things. I'll never forget. I was talking to Nate Wilson, and we were talking about Idaho. And I asked Nate, I was like, if you were governor for a day, I've since stole this line from him. But if you were governor for a day, what would you do? And one of the things, so Idaho and a lot of the West, Idaho's particularly egregious in this regard. 60% of our land is owned by the federal government. It's like all federal forestry and stuff like that. 60% of Idaho's land. And Nate said, I would confiscate our land back and give it to the Indians from whom we stole a lot of the land from in the first place. And the thing I liked about that was
the federal government doesn't want to be stealing the land from the Indians again. You give we stole, because it's pretty clear in the West. We had a compact agreement. You can still read through these agreements with the Indians, and we stole their lands back. You can read the contract that we created with the Indians, and you can see where we stole the lands back here in the West. And so I think that to me is a clear, easy to find situation. Get rid of reservations, and give them the land that we took, that we agreed to separate. We agreed that you can have this land. We'll live over here, and give them the land back. Take the federal property, take the federal lands, and distribute it back to the Indians that we stole it from, the tribes. And the tribes are still here. We know all the names of the tribes, the people, and all that stuff. And it would really cause a pickle for the federal government, because then they would be, again, with CRT and all this stuff going on and reparations, I think it'd checkmate the federal government in a lot of ways regarding our federal land. So,
well, I don't disagree that it would put them in an awkward position, but so far they haven't demonstrated that just breaking the laws is really much of a deterrent for them, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Here, we're going to get angry and we're going to say, hey, this is unconstitutional. And they're going to say, well, yeah, so what's your point?
Yeah. No, but there's all social related problems. But my point, I guess, by telling that story, in some sense, it's like the trucker convoy situation. Like, think strategically about how to protest against the government. The trucker convoy is brilliant. Justin Trudeau, he needs gas, he needs food. It hurts him just as much as it's going to hurt some of the average citizens that are having to wait for their supplies because the truckers are, protesting. But it's a very brilliant protest because it really puts serious pressure on Trudeau, because everything's connected to the trucker industry. Walmart is going to be mad at Trudeau. Walmart's going to be frustrated with Trudeau. All these big businesses in Canada are going to be putting serious pressure on Trudeau. Hey, look, we're losing money right now. We can't get our products and goods out there. So it's a strategic protest, and that's why I like what Nate Nate told me about Idaho. So, anyways, go ahead.
I do think I think that the to be charitable and fair to our Christian brothers and sisters, I think many of them are genuinely believe that if they compromise, then that will open a door to communication and allow them to make friends with people and bring them in and share the gospel with them and lead them to Jesus. Right. And I don't think that is a bad thing to do. I just think that it's naive. I think that there's a lot of people who compromise the very convictions that they're claiming they're going to try to teach people when they bring them in. And so we just, like you said, we just need to think about things before we open our mouths.
Folks, we hope to see you on the road, either in Fort Worth or in Rapid City or in Phoenix in the coming months. Make sure you join the club so you get first dibs at buying tickets. And also, our next magazine is going to be coming out next quarter. That'd be March. That'd be March 1st. So it'll be shipping out about March 1st. It's on creation. And we got authors like me and John Branyan and Pastor Toby. And David Bonson is actually going to be joining us this round talking about creation and economics. So make sure you subscribe to our magazine. Get on that list first before that magazine starts shipping out. 4 magazines, 4 quarters. Until next time, love God and go fight, laugh, and feast. This is the Water Break.